So you've decided to take a master's in psychology. And you've realized that Adler offered 2 masters in psychology, one with a focus on psychology and one with a focus on psychotherapy. So how do you decide, and what are the differences between the 2? So we've created an illustration to help you try and make some of the decision, and we'll talk you through it. So there are 2 distinct concentrations, as you can see here. In the psychology concentration, which is in yellow, you're focused on clinical psychology and assessment. That's the type of psychology that you'll be doing. In the psychotherapy, over in the blue, your concentration will be psychotherapy and counseling. So why does this matter? Well, one of the first things is it's going to decide which college you register to. Will you register with the College of Psychologists Ontario and the psychology stream, or the College of Registered Psychotherapists of Ontario? These are 2 distinct colleges that give you different permissions in your work. If you stay in the psychology stream, you'll be permitted to do 2 controlled acts. One is the controlled act of psychotherapy, and the other is the controlled act of communicating a diagnosis. If you belong to the CPO, the College of Psychologists of Ontario, you'll be permitted to do both. You'll also be permitted to use the word psychology in your services. And of course, if you ultimately pass all the exams and supervision, you can call yourself a psychologist with a doctoral degree in Ontario. By contrast, the CRPO, the College of Registered Psychotherapists Ontario, will give you permission to do the controlled act of psychotherapy only. You are not able to provide a diagnosis, and you are not able to use the word psychology. However, you are permitted to use the word psychotherapy and to give psychotherapy to people who need it. After the college differences, we're looking at the geography. So if you specialize in psychology, you must be able to attend in person, in class, in Toronto, at the building on Yonge Street. And that has to be true for the entire period of your master's degree. The College of Psychologists of Ontario are very clear that in order to belong to their college, the master's has to be delivered in person. Conversely, the CRPO is willing to allow people to do virtual work. So this course, the Masters in Psychology and Psychotherapy, will be available remotely, but there will be 2 in-person Toronto visits per trimester. And this is to give the sense of community that's so important to all of us at Adler, and for us to have a real sense of who you are, because that matters to us. In addition, all remote work will be done with a live, in-person, highly qualified instructor at all times. The quality of instruction at Adler is something that is always uppermost in our minds and something that we're always very proud of here. So there won't be periods of time where you're given a course to go and do on your own. We'll be with you every step of the way, but it will be available remotely. So people from other areas are able to access this work, which again meets a need that we feel is out there for people who aren't near to cities to have this kind of level of training available. And that matters to us too. So there's a difference that you have to consider. What can you do and what can you be available for in terms of geography? And then finally, it's really considering your career focus. For psychology, there are many places that you can work. I've put school and clinic assessments, clinical psychology. This could be in a neuropsychology unit looking at traumatic brain injury. It could be in a forensic psychologist unit, in a prison perhaps. Industrial organizational psychology takes place in a business environment. And school psychology is concerned with psychoeducational assessments to help students learn in the best way that they can and to give them the resources they need. All of these are different places where your master's in psychology could take you. For psychotherapy, you could again be in different places using different modalities of psychotherapy, whether that be cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy, having a psychodynamic approach, a group approach. You could be working with parents. You could be working with children. You could be working with adolescents. You could be working with people with behavioral difficulties, mood difficulties, personality difficulties. But all through it all, you will be working psychotherapeutically, giving psychotherapy. Now, in psychotherapy, you will be able to do some assessment, but they'll generally be self-report or simple questionnaire type assessments. They're different than the in-depth diagnostic assessments that you would be trained in if you're in the psychology stream. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea of what the differences are in terms of how Adler is concerned. There are many differences in the day-to-day work that you would do as a psychologist as opposed to a psychotherapist. But ultimately, if you're undecided, then it might be better to stay within the psychology stream. Really, that's a practical consideration. Because given the College of Psychologists of Ontario's insistence on in-person learning, if you begin the psychotherapy stream of masters and then you wish to shift, if you've done many courses online, you'll find they won't be eligible for credit in the psychology stream. Whereas if you start with psychology, and then you decide actually you want to move across to psychotherapy, there may well be many courses that you can bring credit with you into the psychotherapy stream. It's a little bit more flexible than the other way around. So that's a really big consideration. For myself, I stayed in the psychology stream, and I'm actually doing my doctorate now with Adler, the PsyD that they're offering, and I haven't regretted it. Although I would say primarily my first love is psychotherapy. So who knows, perhaps I would have gone for the Masters in Psychotherapy if that had been on offer. What I do know is the quality of care and the quality of tuition at Adler is second to none. And if you do have further questions, please do feel free to get in touch and ask anyone. There are many people who will help you both on the faculty and ex-students. Good luck.